Because all you have to do is just find out what solutions that they need to further their business. And for every business, it's going to be different. For some businesses, hey, I wish I had more TVs. Hey, I wish I had better Wi-Fi so I can attract people to work remotely from my cafe. Hey, I wish I had just a better security system where we're getting spam all the time and we got hit with phishing. And as long as you can kind of figure out what that they need that would make their business thrive even more, you just take that info, jot it down, you get with a distributor, and that distributor will now partner with you and say, hey, it looks like they should work with this company for cloud services. Maybe they should work with Rapid Scale. Maybe they should work with this company for Wi-Fi. Maybe they should work with this company, etc.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and I'm so glad to have Ty with us today. Ty, how are you doing? How's everything going?
Good, man. How you doing?
I can't complain at all. My name is Joe, for those who don't know, and this is going to be another special edition of Techniche Tips, right? We're here to basically explain different areas in tech, and I have a great person with us. His name is Ty, and we're going to be diving into channel sales. If you're not aware of it, this is a great place to park. But before we do that, I want you to just take a look at the comment section right now. Imagine that as your paper and pen. You're going to go right there and write down any notes you have, because remember, this is not just for entertainment. This is educational, and this is for stuff to apply to your life. So use the comment section as your paper and pen. Feel free to use the note section there, because we want to remember things that can really help not just ourselves, but others as well. So with that being said, you know the deal. To the brain, the boots is symbolic of the journey one takes to get to where Ty is today, and the brain is symbolic of the mindset Ty has, not only to be where he is right now, but to scale from there. So Ty, without further ado, let's talk about your very beginning, where you were born and raised, and we'll just take it up from there.
Cool. My name is Ty. I am originally from Massachusetts area, so I grew up in, I guess, Cambridge is my original place that I lived at, and I guess I kind of experienced different sides of growing up. I mean, growing up in Cambridge, I kind of lived in the, I guess, inner city section of it, so it was largely a Caribbean-based neighborhood. My family's largely Caribbean and Hispanic. That was kind of like my first kind of 13 years of life. I got to see everything, got to experience everything from just the good and bad sections of just what can happen when you're living in a city in the 90s. I think growing up, my mom was very, very cautious of just making sure that I have a fighting chance, because when you're in those types of areas, down in the Boston area, you just hear so many horror stories of just kids just getting caught up in certain situations. So she actually took a risk against all odds and moved me out from kind of the city that I was in, and then moved me up north to a little small town called Chelmsford, Massachusetts. A lot of people never heard of it. It's really, really tiny. Experienced a different side of life over there, completely opposite from being out Cambridge area. So I got to learn about things that I never knew about before. I never really knew about golf or skiing or snowboarding, or just different sports activities, hobbies that I was just never exposed. It was just a different world. It was just night and day of experiencing those two sides of life. And I was there for another 13 years as well. So I kind of did 13 and 13 in two totally different places, got two different perspectives. And I think that kind of showed me the different sides that I guess I kind of needed to now navigate from there. My first job over in the small town that I was in was actually working for just local, working at Radio Shacks, selling parts, batteries. But where I kind of got my first break into telecommunications was that there was a reseller program there where you could actually sell the services such as your internet services, your cell phone services, your satellite TV services in the store. And that was really the way that you can make money outside of like the hour that you're making. But it was very interesting in doing that in an environment where you're actually selling all of the technical accessories that go with those services. So you're selling the coaxial cable, the fiber cable, basically the connections that are attached to your home, was what I was selling along with the actual services and earning commission. while being there, I think I did that for upwards of 6 or 7 years. I actually got recruited by the local cable company out there at the time, which really kind of exposed me to just the whole corporate world and all of that, and just the different pathways of being a frontline sales rep. Nowadays, they're using the terms SDR and BDR. Back then, you were just a call center salesperson, and that was it. You're just taking inside calls and you're trying to convert them into higher deals, which kind of brought me on that path of now getting into the more corporate line of career where you start in that role and then eventually you go up into supervisor or manager. So at that time, I guess I had some interesting influences in my life. I had a new girlfriend and that lived in California, and I just decided like, hey, like let me just go out to California and just I've never been out to the West Coast, never been out past my time zone, and I kind of took a risk and kind of left my job at this cable company to come out to the other cable company over in California. And when I did that, I want to experience the whole new side of life now because I'm living on the beach. I'm living in the most touristy area. This was like Mission Beach, San Diego, so you can't really get any more touristy than that. You're on the boulevard with all these different people. And from there, I excelled in sales, killed it, was a top salesperson, became a supervisor, sales trainer, and kind of did all of that. And eventually got into really kind of an unknown side of telecommunications, which was indirect sales. And indirect sales was a place that I didn't really know existed, until I was in my late 20s now. And that was really a place that I learned that people can actually sell services and make a ton of money without actually working for these companies. I didn't realize that people were selling internet services from a little small office and making more money there than some of the direct sales folks that were getting trained and learning and selling these services. Like I just had no idea that industry exists, and I guess caused me to go, I guess, deeper down that rabbit hole of where does indirect sales go. And when you start at the residential level in indirect sales, eventually you're going to hear about the commercial side of it. And I found out on a chance situation, just walking into the office and just seeing a bunch of people that didn't work for com and that didn't really work with me as well. But so I'm just like, who are these people? Why are these people here in the building? Who's presenting to them? And I found out there was a indirect sales program that was called channel sales, and it was a presentation that was going on, and there were people in there from the company I was at that were teaching other people how to sell these services. And that's when I realized that the industry was a lot larger than just the small ecosystem that I was in. That's when I realized that, hey, this is larger. They're doing commercial products. They're talking about casinos. They're talking about selling into stadiums. They're talking about selling into huge, million square foot fulfillment center. Like this is big business, big money, and this is nationwide. And it kind of got me down that path of maybe I want to get into that and start training other people to sell these products. But me being a residential person, I had no idea about commercial internet or commercial phone service or anything like that. So I essentially just had to essentially learn it all from the ground up while working a full-time job. But luckily, I ended up, just finding some spare time, on weekends, and I found a couple really good trainings and boot camps. And this is, I guess, before kind of the whole boot camps went viral. I mean, we're talking about 2019 going into 2020 now. And when 2020 hit and the pandemic kind of shut down a lot of our business, I was just home. And with being home, I essentially needed to one keep my team occupied because I had a team at that time that was selling services residentially. I need to keep myself occupied. It's kind of given the leeway from my company to, hey, can you virtually train your team on just anything dealing with learning more about the services? And I kind of went down the rabbit hole, found these training modules online that were free, and taught myself from the ground up within 3 months everything about commercial services and commercial internet and PRIs and MPLS services and all this crazy jargon that I never knew existed. And I taught it to my team as well. And during that period, the role opened up for the channel manager role for the market here in Las Vegas. And I spoke to the hiring manager, told him my story, told him, hey, I learned all of this stuff. I don't know if this is relevant to selling commercial services, but this is what I've been doing for the past 3 months at home during the pandemic with my team. And my hiring manager was like, if you can teach your entire team this, then yeah, you can teach partners this. This is what the channel manager actually does. They just teach people how to sell these complex services and solutions. So if this is what you're doing, then jump on board. I jumped on board. It was a great decision. I definitely love what I do right now. And yeah, I'm now in a spot where that's what I do. I help people that want to sell commercial services to businesses to earn commission without actually working for these companies. They want to do it on their own pace, run their own business, and I think it's a great opportunity. And I just wish that more people knew about this opportunity, and I wish it was just as viral as kind of the SDR, BDR, tech sales, all of that. I wish channel sales was kind of into that mix as well, because I think it's very empowering for people to actually do this.
Hey there, thank you so much for watching this video. This video is actually sponsored by Course Careers. So whether you're interested in breaking in as a tech sales representative, if you're interested in actually doing IT or digital marketing, not only do they have free introductory courses for you right now, go to the description and check that out, but they also have $50 off that you could get through me, Joseph 50. That's right, $50 off through Joseph 50. So if you're interested in getting into that course, any which one, whether it's again tech sales, IT, or digital marketing, look no further. Go down to the description below, click on the link, and sign up right now. What are you waiting for? Wow. Wow. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot that we can unpack there, because when you're talking about channel sales, it sounds like it's a third party entity, right? A third party company, or even people that are not necessarily directly employed by the company that are selling products on a wide scale, right?
Yeah,
And this is not just selling from B to C, but they're also doing B2B.
definitely.
So this reminds me of somebody. I'm going to give a shout out to Jonathan Manning. If you're watching this, I went to college around the same time, and he has this whole company called Table Solutions, where depending on the company, they're basically setting up a table. If it might be on the road, whatever the case may be, they're selling that product for that company, but it's underneath the company Table Solutions. So that's what you're saying that channel sales is basically a third party selling on behalf of a company, correct?
Yeah, definitely. You're essentially an agent, an independent seller of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of services and solutions from brands that we all know and use every day. Brands like,
Yep.
Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, T-Mobile, et cetera, et cetera. Anything that a business can purchase from a technology perspective, you can sell indirectly without working for those companies directly and get direct commissions to your wallet, either as a one-time or as a residual commission.
We're going to break this down, folks, because this might be what a lot of people are looking to do, because it's not only SDR tech sales, right? You're actually could be entering into a whole another level of entrepreneurship with this. But we're going to talk about that. I got to go back to the beginning a little bit and talk about Boston, or yeah, Boston, not Boston, Massachusetts, but Cambridge. Growing up there in a Caribbean household, I know my parents are from the Caribbean
Hey,
culture, right? My family from Guyana. My
all
wife's
right.
family's from Haiti. And so it's just kind of like there's a different way, a different mentality. Can you talk about the mentality that you had growing up in a Caribbean household in regards to work and your work efforts?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say, yeah, being in a Caribbean household, especially if you're in a city with people that are excelling, there's just an expectation of, hey, this kid down the street's going to Harvard, this kid's going to MIT. I mean, I live
Mm-hmm.
smack dab between Harvard and MIT. It was one train stop away. If you're in Cambridge, you know about the Red Line, you know that it goes MIT, then you got Central Square, and you got Harvard Square. So I was in Central Square. So I can see both of those literally almost out the window from where I was. So yeah, there was definitely an expectation of you got to go in and show out and be the best at what you do. But I think that the challenge comes with that is that from anyone that has parents that were born in a different country, it can be challenging because they have to also support their household while supporting themselves, and they're dealing with their own social issues that at that time in the 90s, I mean, it was stuff that we couldn't even comprehend. I mean, now being older, we kind of look back at that and be like, through the 60s and 70s, I mean, you had very strong accents. You were bullied in school.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
challenging.
but you still managed to make it through and raise your kids and get them at least to a point where they can have options to be successful. And yeah, I definitely, support all the parents that did it, made it happen, because you're fighting against influence. I think the biggest challenge is you have your kids at home and you're trying to train them the right thing, but the moment that they leave that house and they're going outside, there's other influences. And I know the big
Yep.
thing is always, hey, these kids out there, don't listen to these kids, just listen to what I say. And it's like you're being pulled between two things, because what you're
Mm,
hearing in the household is very different from what you're hearing outside. And
yeah. The outside noise.
yeah, yeah, and you probably know about that. I mean, it's always like, hey, don't talk to this person, talk to this person, don't talk to this one. Don't go over this person's house. You can't do the sleepover,
Yeah.
um, because it's just the unknown, and it's and yeah, it was something that I'm glad I got to experience, because I definitely have a greater understanding for those challenges, and I think sometimes we're still seeing those generational challenges, because we're still sometimes playing catch up and trying to get up to that level where there's kind of like an equal playing field. I mean, like I didn't get anything passed down to me from a financial aspect. I mean, it was everything that I got and other people got. Like we had to work for it. So
Yeah.
it it can be challenging, but there's so many success stories out there right now, which I love, and makes me proud to be Caribbean. There's nonprofits out there. Shout out to
Hmm.
Caribbean Massive in tech, and all the people that are pushing that side of it. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and we're gonna probably have to talk about that a little bit more. There's so many different organizations, Black in Technology. There's so many different groups that are doing things for the furtherance of people getting into this space. I think it's phenomenal. Now you've got questions, we've got answers. Let's talk Radio Shack for a moment. You was that where you fell in love with
I like that
telecommunications?
segue.
I remember.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, definitely. And one, just a side note, man. I mean, just big shout out to what you do. Like, I love your content. I love the little segues and stuff. Like, you're amazing at this. So,
Thank
I
you.
just wish you all the success with this program. But but
Thank
but
you so
yeah,
much.
yeah. No, no, totally. So Radio Shack was interesting. It got a bad rap, or didn't get the best rap. It wasn't the most. It wasn't the job that you brag about, like, oh, hey, I'm working at Radio Shack. But I think it was just the times, because sometimes, like, I think with all of this push of, hey, tech is cool, hey, get into tech, hey, break into tech, with all of the viral stuff going on, I actually think that it was just timing. I think, like, if there was a store like Radio Shack right now that people can work at and learn about all these tech products and really get their hands dirty with switches and potentiometers and capacitors and just all these little technical things, building your own computer, working on science projects with kids in the stores, selling tech solutions, selling internet and satellite TV, and selling the amplifiers for your cable and all sorts of stuff. Like I think it would have more respect now in this time, because now people see that, hey, that is the gateway into tech, or it is a gateway into tech, versus in the past where it just wasn't really looked at it that way. But I'm so glad that I chose there, because I had options of where to work. I had to get a job. I was 18, 19, and it was either, okay, I'm going to work at this grocery store, I'm going to work at this record store, or I'm going to work at Radio Shack. And I think I was just like, okay, pick one. And I think I just walked into Radio Shack. I'm like, all right, I'll try this first. But walking into there, like, completely changed the trajectory of my life, because when it comes to stuff that I do every day, with getting into complex um, conversations about the inner networkings of a casino, and I'm having to talk to engineers and people that have been doing this for 30 plus years, knowing about all the different parts to a coaxial cable or fiber cable, knowing how the internet works, just from a hardware perspective, I think really allows me to navigate these conversations that for most people they would see as challenging. Because for me, I just see it as, okay, it's like it's electricity transferring a on a copper wire, or it's light that's being beamed and flashed through a piece of glass. Like that's the way I see it, just from seeing those products every single day. But most people don't see it like that. They see it as something more complex, which is one of the reasons why I like to go and do things and help people see those products that look complex from a basic point, from basic aspect. But I wouldn't have been able to do that without Radio Shack. Like Radio Shack, shout outs to them for everything that they did for us for the time that they were out.
Hey, family, it's Joseph here again. Now, you have heard me talk about how tech sales has changed my life. I actually want to introduce you to another career that, if you decide to go into it, truly is recession proof, and that is cybersecurity. Level Careers is a platform similar to Course Careers that is self-paced and allows you to obtain knowledge and education in cybersecurity, and get this, without prior experience or a degree. That's right. And so you definitely want to get into that. And if you are interested in learning more about cybersecurity, go ahead and click the link below. It's in my description, and use my promo code Joseph10. That's right. Use my promo code Joseph10 in order to save 10% off of the purchase price of that course. So without further ado, I'm not going to delay you. Go click on the link, check out the free introductory courses, and change your life today. Yeah. I think a lot of things could be said. That was a time where you had Circuit City, you had Radio Shack, you had a lot of these different companies that were providing a service that, like you said, at the time probably wasn't appreciated. But that's the great thing about today, is that movies do it all the time. They take something, hey, this was great. Let's do a remake of this. I'm not saying to do the exact same thing as Radio Shack, because obviously you're going to deeper levels where you're talking about doing all these different experiences with kids, but you have a new company idea right there, and then Ty, you have your own thing right there, Techniche. You don't know, I don't know what to call it, but whatever your store can be, because you have the expertise of being actually at a Radio Shack, plus what you have right now. The sky's the limits for the business that you can open with there, and that's for free. I'm not even going to charge. So with that being said, going into let's go right into channel sales, because this is such an interesting area that I think a lot of people, again, they don't really have much of a knowledge base on. What is a prerequisite for somebody, like, let's say you're the hiring manager? What is a prerequisite, or what kind of candidate are you looking for this particular role to work with your team?
Yeah, so with channel sales, anyone can be a channel partner. So there's no prerequisite to be a channel partner or to start selling services indirectly. Like if you came to me and said, "Hey, Ty, there is a nail salon that's next door that doesn't like their internet provider, and I want to move them into a different internet service," then all you have to do is just talk to a distributor, which there's 4 or 5 major distributors you can talk to. You fill out a form that basically says that you agree to receive commissions on anything that you sell. And then from there, they give you the prices and offers and solutions that are available. You present it to your customer, and if they agree, have them sign the contract, and you now have a sale, and you'll get paid within 30 to 60 days after the install. And that's it. And you could do that over and over and over and over and over again with larger and larger companies. And it's your own business. So you're not working for anyone but yourself. Like it's your company. So you can sell anywhere. It doesn't have to be next door. You can go on vacation and go to, let's say you went to Australia and you want to go and sell service to a coffee shop down there. You can talk to your distributor. They'll tell you what providers are there, who has the internet, who does the cable, who does the security camera, who does all of that. And then from there, you can now present them with a solution. And if they choose it, then you're getting paid. To simplify it, you're basically getting paid for bringing a business to an actual service provider. If you can bring those two together and a transaction takes place, then you are entitled to a percentage of that deal, either 15% of that contract value, 10%, 12%. It depends on the company, but you're entitled to money for bringing two companies together. And I think that's the golden premise to it.
You know what's so funny? I'm smiling, right? Because what is that, course career students? That is the job of an SDR. You have the research, then you have the prospect, and then you have to get that company to go with your company and boom, that's the job of an SDR. You're brokering the deal pretty much. You're setting up the meeting. That's what it sounds like to me. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it is basically an SDR without working for a company. It's being an SDR without applying for 1,000 jobs to get 10 interviews. It's
Uh-oh.
that. It's being an SDR for yourself. It's 100%. It's just, hey, in the meantime, while I'm not working this 9 to 5 or the dream SDR job, I'm gonna go out there and start talking to businesses and start seeing if maybe I can help them with adding an additional service to better their business. Maybe they need a better cell phone connection. Maybe
Mm.
they need a better internet connection. Maybe they need better Wi-Fi. Hey, maybe I have a strategic solution for this dentist office. How come you don't have TVs on your ceiling? Let me help you get some TV service so you can put on your ceiling so when your patients go back, they can actually watch TV while their head's back. That's essentially what it is, and there's no prerequisites. The problem is that there's just a lack of knowledge
Yeah.
about this industry, which I definitely appreciate you of even giving this industry a platform because it could really change lives.
Yeah. Now, and so a couple of questions, but here's one question I have because I know that I recently had people that I talked to that are international. They may be in a different country, whether it's in the continent of Africa or in South America, or they're from the Caribbean, like we just talked about. And they're saying they're having a hard time landing a job with the company. How would they go about? I mean, I guess it's assuming it's the same thing you just said, the same process, but how would they go about kind of getting into this channel sales industry?
Yeah, definitely. So you'd basically just get with a distributor. So there's 4 or 5 major distributors that are out there. You can type in like technology services distributor, and you'll see that the main ones that pop up. And then from there, you just say, hey, I want to join your channel program, or you just search kind of channel partner programs, distributors, and they'll pop up. You just reach out to them, say, hey, I want to join your program. I want to be a seller of services to businesses. They have a meeting with you to kind of figure out your business plan, figure out what you want to do. It's usually like in 30 minutes, an hour. From there, they'll let you know the companies that are in their portfolio. Hey, we allow people to sell these telecommunications companies, these cell phone companies, these uh, VoIP companies, phone companies, and they'll give you the whole list. It's usually 200 companies, some do 100 companies. And then from there, they'll give you a DocuSign. You can kind of read through it, go through the legal language. They will negotiate with you what's called a split, so essentially a cut of the commissions. Since they are kind of in the middle, there's a part of the commission that they will get industry standards. It depends on the company. This might be 30%, might be 25%. It depends
Hmm.
on the distributor. But with that cut, they are the ones that are now bringing all of those companies that you want to sell to you. So if you wanted to get in touch with the local internet company for a particular place, country, city, they will bring essentially the me, like I'm a channel manager, so I get brought into deals because I represent a telecom company. So they pretty much bring the me for that company into the transaction. And basically, we help get those deals closed on behalf of the partner. And that's what the distributor does with
Yeah.
that portion that they're getting. And they don't get paid until you get paid. So that's why they want to make
Incentivize for
sure
them too.
exactly it's a partnership. And that's why they essentially call it channel partnerships because nobody gets paid until we all get paid, essentially.
Okay, so we got to break that down all the way, but I need to wet people's tongue because
Yeah.
wet people's ears a little bit because they hearing this like, oh, that's cool, because a lot of us come from a 9 to 5 work mindset. This is more of an entrepreneurship mindset you need to have on. You need to have that hat on
Yeah.
a little bit, a lot more actually. What type of money, and you don't have to say yourself, but what kind of money can somebody make being a channel partner? Like you talked about that. I was gonna say a number here, but let's just for simple terms. Is it possible to have a deal that's worth $100,000 and you as a channel partner getting that 30%, which is $30,000 in your pocket? Is that something that's realistic?
Yeah, so I mean, you can. I mean, I've seen deals. I mean, stretch as high as $700,000 deals. I've seen 500,000. Like I've seen $100,000 deals. So because and here's how it basically happens. So I'll kind of break down the common scenario. So think of
Yes.
of a chain restaurant. So just Think of whichever one, a restaurant that you know sells either burgers or pizza or whichever fast food that can be found in any state in America. So this restaurant probably pays anywhere from maybe 200 to $300 in internet services, give or take. So if there are, let's just say, 1,000 locations, so now you take that $300 a month, times it by 1,000 locations. You now have $300,000 in monthly services that they're paying in internet. So if you were the person that happened to close the deal for all of those services, then now of that 300,000, you're getting a residual commission. If you sold it through a residual provider, let's say if it was on the small side, let's say if it was 10%, that's now $30,000 a month that you're getting every single month without doing anything. Like the deal is done, you're just getting that continuously until they cancel. And there are
Mm-hmm.
some providers that pay 15% residual. There's providers that pay 12% residual. There's some that pay upfront, which is the other one. So the company that I'm with does upfront. So we would essentially take that amount, you times it by the ballpark, you basically times it by like the contract. So if it's a
Yeah.
3 year contract, times it by three. So if it was a $300,000 deal that you get, times it by three, then you get $900,000 up front. And these are our deals that happen. I've been a part of these deals. I've seen people get these deals, and they're crazy. They're insane. But if you think about it, it's more common than people think because
Mm-hmm.
every city has IT companies, and you see IT companies all over. You can try to look through any type of Rolodex in any location. You'll see 20, 30, 40, 50 prominent IT companies. You'll see them on the billboards, and they'll have really large staffs. They'll have staffs of 30 people, 20 people. And if you think about, well, how are you paying all of these people salaries of anywhere of $50,000 to $100,000? Well, because they must have enough residual income from all of the deals that they've done that amount in the millions of 5 million, 6 million, 7 million to support all of those salaries. And the part that people miss with IT companies, they think that, oh, IT companies are making all this money because of billable hours. And that's not necessarily the case. There's part billable hours, there's part consulting fees, but the other part is just residual income from all of the services that they've sold, or the upfront income from all the services that they're selling.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. I'm glad I asked that question. The ears are they're starting to salivate a little bit, Ty. Sorry, they're starting to salivate a little bit because they're listening to this and they're saying, "Wait a second. If I create a business, if I become a channel partner, if I use the skills I learned as in course careers, for example, then I could literally create my own ecosystem, which is the Netflix model, right? The continuation model that we see that has popped up over the years that businesses have adopted, right? To get that residual income. I could possibly broker deals, be the middleman in deals that can have me seeing thousands upon thousands of dollars a month. All right, so this is why I want to ask that question first, so like everybody's paying attention now. They just woke up. So let's break it all the way down. I'm gonna say the steps that I think somebody should do, and you're gonna correct me whenever if you can say yes, it's good, or
Cool.
no, you're wrong. So first step a person should do is create an LLC. Would you say that's correct? Like create a business, or they could be a sole proprietor. It doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, it's always recommended to do what's beneficial for you from a tax perspective, but most distributors don't require any formal business. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a business, many distributors will take you in with just a name and social. They'll just give you just a tax form just as a DBA, and that's it. But name and social, and they'll get that party started. For your own
Mm-hmm.
benefit, I mean, yeah, you could definitely go LLC, S corp, all of that. But the mistakes that I see is I see so many people get caught up in that,
Mm-hmm.
where they're missing out on deals because if you have a deal that needs to close, like you have a company that says, "Hey, I'm moving into this place next week," and they need internet service. I mean, I would say just jump in and just close that deal. You can get all of that other stuff done later when it comes to figuring out what incorporation model. Just get your fingers on the deal and
Get
be
your
the
foot in the door.
official broker. Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
All right, cool. So let's say they already taken care of that, right? They're good either way, right? So the next step is to locate either would it be to locate a client or locate a company first that would actually be a service that you're providing now. I would say find the company first, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So first would well, there's a few different things that you can do. So yeah, if you want to get paid, then yeah, find a company, and there's many different customer acquisition models that you can do. So the one that most people resort to is, hey, what's in my backyard? Who are the businesses that I already know? I think most people probably know maybe one person that owns a business. I mean, even if it's something small, it could be as small as maybe someone's, babysitting business that they're paying for commercial internet for, or it could be something large like a restaurant that they frequent and they know the owner of the restaurant. But yeah, you could definitely start there. If you don't want to go that route and you just because that's basically called dealing with small business. But if you
Mm-hmm.
want to skip small business completely, you can more start off in medium business. And to do that, you would essentially have to establish yourself in like a local business networking, either events or trade shows. So that could be get in with your chamber of commerce, and join that. So get in with your whether there's an urban chamber, whether there's a local chamber. You could also get in with like business networking. Like there's business networking groups where people share leads back and forth. So you have like plumbers, electricians, and you have people that do roofing, and they're all kind of sharing leads. And then if you do the internet, they're like, oh, hey, great, I know tons of people that need internet. They'll send it to you, and vice versa. The other aspect is you can get in with a commercial real estate partner. There are many people in commercial real estate that are open to partnering with people in IT. I mean, there has to
Mm-hmm.
be kind of a win-win, but if you can kind of help them out with, hey, I'm trying to lease this property, but I can't get this person to decide on it. Can you let me know like what types of internet is available? Because maybe if there's fiber available, then
They
that will
might be
help.
open
Because
to that.
yeah, exactly. But now you get in contact with that business. Now you can sell them fiber internet, so it's like a win-win on both sides. So yeah, so that's the main part is kind of figuring out what angle you want to go. There's also the cold call route, and that's a little tougher, but there are some people that we both know SDR BDRs that are out there that are experts at cold calling, and if you are, then you can cold call anybody in any place, whoever's going to talk to you, and from there you can have that conversation, figure out if they like their internet provider, or maybe they don't have email security, or maybe they need to back up data to a data center. There's all sorts of
Oh,
things you can offer from
so
that.
you said you to make that relationship with the internet provider first, right? The IT internet service first, and then try to prospect, and then try researching and prospecting. You're saying, right? That's
No,
one.
no. Yeah, so I'd say so you can do it either way. If you go the route of finding the customer, then yeah, you can go and just either find a customer locally, you can kind of go through networking events, or you can just start cold calling customers. I mean, it's one way, it's not the best way, but it's for some people that they know how to do it. If you know how to cold call and get a business person on the phone that is your prime target in a different
Mm-hmm.
place, then completely go after it, because all you have to do is just find out what solutions that they need to further their business. And for every business it's going to be different. For some businesses it's like, hey, I wish I had more TVs. Hey, I wish I had better Wi-Fi so I can attract people to work remotely from my cafe. Hey, I wish I had just a better email security system where we're getting spam all the time and we got hit with phishing. And as long as you can kind of figure out what that is that they need that would make their business thrive even more, you just take that info, jot it down, you get with a distributor, and that distributor will now partner with you and say, hey, it looks like they should work with this company for cloud services. Maybe they should work with Rapid Scale. Maybe they should work with this company for Wi-Fi. Maybe they should work with this company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then from
Got you.
there,
So the distributor is so that's the next part. Getting to the distributor. How do you get to that distributor? You find them on. I mean, white pages, the yellow pages aren't really a thing anymore, except online, right? I guess. But you would Google them. You would try to contact them, cold call them to kind of make sure, hey, I'm actually I'm looking to be a channel partner with you. I love your service, and I think I could get you customers.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
it's as simple as that. Yeah, there's a handful of them. There's like five or six really big ones. If you search anything related to telecom services distributor, they will pop right up, and you just talk to them, and whoever is willing to have that conversation with you, jump on. I mean, definitely find out what the if what the split percentage is, so you kind of know, in terms of money, like, okay, they do a split of 30%, so we're splitting the commission with the distributor. They're getting 30%, I'm getting 70%, et cetera, et cetera. So, find out your numbers. But yeah, you just reach out to them. They're usually all very responsive because they want the partners, especially partners
Hmm.
that can bring in business to them, because it's they get paid when you get paid, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
so yeah, but they have the connections with all of the major companies. So they have the connections with all the telecom companies, all the different cloud solutions companies, every one that you could think of, your phone providers, all of that they can get you access to. And they
Okay.
get you and they get you to the channel managers like myself that will do the training on behalf of that company.
And when you say channel managers on the training, like going back to what you said, you're training on the product, you're training on the specs, so you can help so that the person that is now the channel partner can answer questions if the customer has questions. Is that what you're saying? That sort of training, or training on sales?
Yeah, so essentially, whichever solution that company offers, like for example, what I do is I help with training on teaching people, hey, what is telecom, what is fiber, what is cable service, how do you sell it, in a bulk situation at a motel, et cetera, et cetera. But I also help people with closing deals, like, hey, I'm trying to get this person to sign up with this service, but I can't get them to agree on this price. Is there anything that you can tell me that I can use to close this deal? And I'll say, hey, here's this flyer that you can use that has these features and benefits. Hey, did you know that this internet also comes with this? Hey, let me see if I could get the install cost discounted for you. Maybe that will help out, et cetera, et cetera. We become partners on the deal because with the channel managers, we're kind of in on the deals too, where that deal has to close for us to get compensated as well. So it's all we all come together and
Everybody wins.
partner.
If everybody
Y-
wins, everybody has is incentivized to get these deals done. So that's why they bring their best selves to these deals.
Yes, definitely. And every major company has a channel program. So, just think of a company. I mean, if you name out the big ones, like, from Microsoft to, Amazon and Cisco to, Cox, Comcast, but like they all have channel programs and channel managers that are there to assist in some capacity on getting those indirect deals sold.
Nice. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I know you wanted to get the details in regard to that, the nitty-gritty details, because we want to put action behind things that we're learning, right? Especially those that are kind of trying to find their way. So you might be an SDR. You might have been gone through course careers. You might even have gone through level. I talk about them as well. So whether course careers are leveled, you're studying to be a SDR, BDR, account executive, or you might be in IT and you say, you know what, I have a little bit of sales background. I want to get into this space too. Uh, you have a space here where you could actually leverage your sales ability, your sales skills, your storytelling ability to now broker deals that basically can honestly bring in tons of revenue for you. And so that's why I wanted to ask specific questions for Ty to break it down simple ways, in simple action steps that you can follow these steps and change the way things are. So with that being said, what is the type of mindset, Ty, that someone needs to have in order to get into this field like yourself, but and scale from there and grow and do dramatic things with it?
Yeah, so I think you have to be willing to one, have some early rejection with it, and be okay with not being the best at it at first. But I think that comes with a lot of fields where you're going out on your own. I mean, the biggest error that I see is people will go out, they'll try some prospecting, they maybe will work with, I don't know, a car dealership, or they'll work with a local coffee shop, and for whatever reason the deal doesn't pan out in the way that they wanted to because the business owner changes their mind, or something of that nature occurs, and they kind of have to start from scratch with another business, and it kind of gets a little demotivated for them. And I think the other part too is depending on the situation, they may not see that representation. They may not have friends or family or people that they know online that are doing this either, that they can look to as role models, because there aren't that many viral channel partners that are out there preaching, channel. A lot of the channel kind of happens in a in another area of the internet that that isn't really known to a lot of people. So I think you just have to be willing to stay the course. But I also think that understanding how big channel has played into the lives of some of the people that we don't often think about, or people that we know. Like I'll give a couple examples. Like take Mark Cuban. So Mark Cuban, we all know that he started off selling newspapers, and then he went into another business, and then from there he got in with some friends that started a business where he was basically putting the radio on the internet in a
Yeah.
very early way, and sold that business to Yahoo, so from for more than 5 billion. But there's something in the middle. There is a business that he had before that, and it's a business that isn't really talked about that much. It's like a blip in any of the public sessions that I've heard. And that blip is a company called Micro Solutions that he had. And Micro Solutions was a company that was out in the late 80s. It was his company, and he was selling internet services, like dial-up internet services in Texas. And that was like his business that got him his first million. And people don't realize, like if you ask,
Mm,
yeah, how did Mark Cuban get his first million? Everyone goes to, oh, well, he sold that company Amazon. No, but how did he get the first million? It came from a company called Micro Solutions, where he was actually there selling internet services to different people in Texas, and he ended up getting Ross Perot as a customer. And Ross Perot, if for people that were around in the 90s, was a major player, billionaire, et cetera, et cetera. Um, he ended up doing most of the connectivity for Ross Perot, from selling him the email software that they needed, the screen share software that they needed, and the dial-up internet.
mm,
So all of their different offices can
mm.
work collaboratively together in the 80s. And with him
Wow.
being a partner of those services, he was getting paid a portion of those deals because he was the
Mm,
person that brought CompuServe to Ross Perot's enterprises. And with that together, he is now getting a portion of those deals. And with that, he ended up selling that company because that company was generating income. He sold that company for, I believe it was 3 or 4 million, and that allowed him to just be
wow.
comfortable. And now, he said in his interview that he traveled the world for a little bit, and he just relaxed. And then eventually he met the people that got him on that larger company that was the one he sold for Yahoo. But it's that part in the middle that I think
Mm,
people miss out, which that was a channel company in the 80s. Another one this is a common one. If you look up David Stewart, he's one of the few African American billionaires, and he has a company called Worldwide Technology. And if you look at the origins of Worldwide Technology, he was a channel partner in the early 90s, where he was
mm.
actually selling hardware. He was a partner with different phone companies, computer companies, and he was providing that services to businesses. So
Wow.
he had a minority-owned business at the time, and that business is still in existence today. Worldwide Technology. They provide um, phones and computers and all sorts of stuff to plenty of large companies, and they are a partner of those companies still to this day, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company. But these are things that are never talked about. I mean, I go through all
Yeah.
the viral content online, like and I just never hear anyone talking about it. I'm just like, man, like what when is this going to become the viral thing? Yeah.
It might you might this might be the genesis of that. You never know. Because here's the thing. I think we know of it, but we never knew what it was called. Like I mentioned that company earlier in the conversation. I didn't know that was channel sales. I mean, I even heard the term channel sales before, but had no clue as to what that meant. And now I do. And now we do. And so
Yeah.
we're the better for it. I mean, if you're an SDR and you have that mixture of entrepreneurship, you could literally go to Course Careers, you could go to Leveled, and do their sales programs, and then you can go and start your own business, making you can make a lot of money in this space. We didn't even really dive deep into how much money you can make. We just kind of made you kind of gave a scenario. You kind of talked about a little bit about what you know. But if you really wanted to talk about it, there's a lot of money that could be made in this space.
Yeah, millions. Like you can really make millions and millions of dollars, that and have the money to build out a team. You could have an entire team of 20, 30 people, a full company. I mean, the origins of your IT companies usually started with one channel salesperson that was making enough money to hire another person, another person. Now you have a full IT company that's in some major city. That's how most of them started out.
Wow. And I think people, and I'm talking to the audience here, you may listen to this and get number one thing, anxiety. And you may be anxious and say, because what I've heard this before, that fear is like being concerned about something that's in the present moment. Like if there was a snake that came and you're like, that's fear because you see that snake, you don't want to get bitten. But anxiety is you imagining the worst thing that could possibly happen and you freeze up to that. And I think that if you have that entrepreneurship bug, if you're saying to yourself, like, man, this is something that I want to do sales, I want to kind of do it my own way, this is the way, this is probably the way to do it. And I know there's some people, guys, spoken to some people that are entrepreneurial minded, and they're getting to tech in order to fund their entrepreneurial endeavors. But this might be an option for you. Who knows? This might be an option. That's why we have discussions like this. And so, Ty, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. This is going to be something that people might have a lot more questions than answers right now. And so,
Yeah.
if they could they reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Look me up under Ty Smith. They can definitely find me. Feel free to ping me, and yeah, and we're gonna try to just get the word out there because it's a win-win for everyone. I mean, we need a new generation of partners coming in, and I think just overall, I mean, companies love working with partners as well, because partners provide access to all sorts of services. So it's a win-win. Let's just grow the partner ecosystem and expand it out to different people and just give people the option, give people an option of 9 to 5 SDR or channel partner, and just let people decide based on their own path.
Now they know. Now they know. This has been a great episode of Techniche Tips. Again, we thank you, Ty, for joining us today. The LinkedIn will be in the description below, so feel free to connect with him, ask him questions about the channel. You could don't if you ask me, I might not. I'll be like, talk to Ty. So might as well just reach out to him about it. But yeah, thank you so much, Ty. And like
Appreciate it.
always, absolutely. And like always, until next time, I hope to see you on the other side. Take care, family.
Thank you.